this area, and for the most part, those National Guard troops, they're they're securing federal property and personnel, and they've also been assisting in these ongoing raids, at least some of them. They were seen, I believe, Thursday in blocking some of the streets where one raid was happening. And as we continue to see, for the most part, police out here, I do want to show you something. Elliot Mendoza behind the camera, if he can come down here, these rubber bullets, a lot of them on the street here, these were being fired at some of the demonstrators. So I was talking to a few earlier who said they were in extreme pain because of it. Obviously, they can cause pain, these less lethal munitions. And as far as the bottles and rocks being thrown at officers, we did see a little of that. And here at this intersection, maybe about 15 minutes ago, we saw a few bottles going into the sky. We didn't see them hitting any officers, but that's definitely been a concern out here with reports that that is what these agitators have been doing. Yeah, and we're seeing more of these less lethal munitions here on the street. So the crowd appears to be following the orders. At times they go back into the street and start waving the flags, but as the skirmish lines continue to move, so does the crowd at this point. A little smaller than it was even just a short time ago, and now we've got about 50 minutes or so left before that curfew hits. But the dispersal order here in downtown LA, that's when we really saw this force of law enforcement moving in, as some of the crowd here remains downtown, being pushed again towards 3rd Street here on Broadway. Christine and Gigi.
And Mario, we're going to go to Justin O'Brien up in Sky Fox, because in addition to everything else they have to deal with in downtown Los Angeles, we understand, and this actually happened earlier in downtown, there was a street takeover, Justin?
Yes, Gigi, just to give you an idea, this is where Mario's location is. This is just southwest of the Gloria Marina Grand Park. LAPD, obviously, their skirmish lines as I'm pushing down here. This is the area where Mario is, and this is where the group is being pushed. And as you said, yes, it's becoming a street takeover. Occasionally you see a little smoke light up in the street there. There's actually people spinning their wheels. So this crowd is being pushed south on Broadway, and they're certainly taking over the intersections now. They're turning it into almost the street takeovers that we often see in Compton at night time, Gigi.
And Justin, earlier this afternoon, even when the protest was still peaceful, as thousands of people were on the street, there was a driver in a burgundy Dodge who suddenly began doing donuts in the intersection and spin-outs, putting all of those people in danger. LAPD moved quickly. I believe he or she was detained, but those were the reports coming from the scene earlier this afternoon. So in addition to all of the chaos that we're seeing, the city is also dealing with other things. There's a Dodgers game on, which
salute, double tap that screen, guys, get the lights up.
Dodgers game, and you have this issue. And because of what's happening in downtown Los Angeles, we want to tell you there is what's called a TFR. That stands for temporary flight restriction. So we have Sky Fox right there on the perimeter of downtown Los Angeles, zooming in, the crew doing an absolutely amazing job. Justin, thank you very much. We know how difficult it is, how challenging it is, being 1,500 feet above everything and being able to report with such a detail what you're seeing from Sky Fox. And there you see a long line of cars. We can see the flashing lights. And now reports of street takeovers as the protesters leave.
This is in Los Angeles, guys.
But not leaving the immediate area. Justin?
Yeah, that's right. They're almost like they don't want to leave. And as I explained there, yeah, so Sky Fox, we're limited by a 3-mile radius around Dodger Stadium. So that's actually putting us on the above the 10th freeway between the 110 and the 60. So we're quite a way away, but the LAPD is pushing these protesters south of this stage. They're trying to push them downhill, which is one road to the left there. And currently there seems to be the majority of people making their way along Broadway. Slowly but surely they are. You just wonder if all these cars have to do with the protesters, or whether some of them actually may be just innocent drivers.
What's up, Belinda? What's up, Miss Poonbrow? What's up, Gilly?
Stayed away from City Hall and worked for the day. Now they're trying to get home, but unfortunately they're caught up in this mess. So I imagine LAPD is going to continue to try to push these guys further south. Hopefully they'll jump in their cars and eventually head home. As Mario was alluding to there, we're about 45 minutes before that curfew kicks in at 8 p.m.
Well, we are watching.
Just while you're there, I just want to I see something very interesting there, Gigi. We've got a person there with a hose. So they're hosing down the road. I imagine that's so that people can start doing burnouts. That's to make the road a little bit more.
They finna get the going crazy, guys.
Justin, Christine Devine has now joined us here in the studio. And I know you can't see it from your perspective because of that TFR. I do see the hose, but where are they getting a hose? Or is that, let's hope that's not a fire hydrant that has been opened.
What's up, Tommy?
Yeah, I would put my money on that it's a fire hydrant. The reason I say that is just the amount of water that's flushing out there, and also the height that it's coming out at. It looks like it's coming out at about 1 to 2 foot off the ground, and there's a large sort of fireworks there. So this is definitely taking over the feel of a street takeover, ladies.
Well, as you give us this picture from the air, obviously a much different picture.
They are protesting in Texas, but not like this, Gillian.
Law enforcement is moving a crowd on foot as the curfew nears. It's a reminder that this is a very big city, and I'm thinking, is that the Wiltern there? Is that Koreatown, Justin?
It's still coming up as downtown for me. I believe Koreatown will be a little bit further west. So we're looking at this is yes, this is Broadway. Broadway between 6th and 7th at the moment. And they've opened up a second fire hydrant there by the look of it as well. And that's happening between 6th and 7th. So it's certainly a couple of very nice hotels in this area. No doubt, of course, people who live in the area are still allowed to, even though the curfew goes into effect, they're still allowed to get into their residences.
This is Los Angeles, guys.
Southbound, unclear how they'll actually get out of here eventually, whether they would get onto the metro. Maybe that's something, I think one big thing to look at here as well, all the police resources are up here, so if they were looking to try to take any of these people into custody, they'd actually have to flood the area, both Hill Street and the street to the right here. That's Spring, I believe. I believe it's between Olive and, sorry, I apologize, Hill.
What's up, Sexy Black?
Broadway in the center and Spring to the right. They certainly have to come in there and try and corner them, but unfortunately I just don't think the LAPD or the sheriffs have the resources to do that.
Well, it reminds you of what a big city we have here. Even that downtown area, that 1 square mile area, has a number of streets there. And so looking at the map, you are giving us an aerial shot southwest pretty much of where Mario is by just a couple of blocks. And you can see Mario's shot where you have a lot of LAPD officers on the ground.
What's up,
The Sheriff's Department was there as well. And then we see Justin's shot from Skyfox, and we see all of the vehicles there on the road. So it does give you an
Continue to get those likes up, guys. Double tap that screen.
Every street is not cleared in the curfew zone there. It may take some time, but let people know, as Mario said, he got an alert on his phone, that curfew will take effect in about 45 minutes. And really, the goal is to get people out of that downtown area, and anybody there would then be in violation. And we've seen a number of people being arrested with those zip ties and taken on those big white LAPD buses down to be booked. So again, 45 minutes to go, and people need to be reminded that they need to clear that downtown area. It is a Saturday night, and we know people have a lot of energy when you're young and passionate or an agitator. That a Saturday night could be a longer night for law enforcement. It's not a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It is a Saturday night and a full day of protests and inflamed passions and energy.
And I'm learning from officers, LAPD officers at the scene now. We've been communicating via text message when they can, and some commanders also trying to reach out. I talked about that full mobilization, Christine, the A shift, 12 hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then the B shift, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and on it goes. No one has been relieved. We are at 7:19 p.m., and no officers have been relieved. On the contrary, the B shift is now being brought in, so you have additional officers. You're going to eventually have double the officers that you had earlier during the day. And they remind me that they did not give a dispersal order to protesters until a group started attacking officers, throwing rocks, bottles.
They have began to attack law enforcement, guys.
Fireworks. So they were supposed to have a change of shift at 6 p.m. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And you have all the other LAPD stations and all the other business of Los Angeles that needs to be tended to while this is happening, as Christine mentioned, in this relatively small area. And, you know, oh, there we see what?
Cars. I'm looking at now, how do you move all these cars out of the way? That might take a minute. It makes me think of Justin's aerial shot where he showed us all the cars there on the street there. You can see in the aerial shot. And now it looks like LAPD is right there. Can you imagine being bobbed up in that?
And that is why the CHP has closed all the on-ramps and off-ramps to downtown Los Angeles between the 110 freeway and Alameda to prevent exactly a freeway takeover, but now you sort of have a street takeover. We have some breaking news. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has confirmed that one of their deputies has been injured. The severity of
we got an injured Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy that has been injured, guys.
In downtown Los Angeles, we are working to get more information. We also heard, and we're trying to get this confirmed, that one of the horses from their mounted unit may have also been injured in these confrontations. So we will continue to work to get you the latest information on the chaos in downtown Los Angeles after a peaceful protest where tens of thousands of people that started around 10 o'clock this morning completely deteriorated. Christine Devine and I'm Gigi Graciette in studio. We have Mario Ramirez and his photographer in the thick of it, and Justin O'Brien, of course, up in Skyfox.
There's a lot going on in Los Angeles, guys.
People on the streets.
What I'm noticing here,
the peaceful protest is not so peaceful anymore.
You got a bunch of cars. If you know downtown, a lot of the streets can be one way. It looks like LAPD is going to now have to help funnel those cars out of the area with that curfew hitting in about 40 minutes. Skyfox, we know, is moving to a location where there are other protesters. We'll bring that to you soon. Right now, I can tell you this crowd, though, of people has been moved away from City Hall, away from Grand Park, away from your government building.
This is crazy, guys.
This crowd back to now where you have a lot of cars. Looks like an officer has some concerns from somebody in one of the buildings, keeping an eye on that. All right, we're just watching here.
And that probably stems from Christine, that the initial officers...
A lot of traffic out there, guys. A lot of law enforcement and a lot of protesters.
At a much higher distance than they were. They were being thrown down at them. So obviously concerned from any agitators that might be in any of those downtown Los Angeles buildings. We understand the A-Watch is now getting relief. Those officers have been on duty now for 13 and a half hours. They will be replaced by the new incoming officers.
Ooh. So there you have the officers there with those non-lethal, less than lethal weapons, those green guns that were drawn to the right, and the man in the Santa outfit still there.
I don't know what a National Guard is, guys.
Turned around and out of there from the back end, I'm not sure. Or is it just the responsibility of the motorist to figure it out, or is LAPD at the...
This is downtown LA, Miss Fullback.
Where they're able to funnel cars out.
Yeah, I did see a guy in the Santa suit.
I would not want to be in the middle of that. Then again, I might not have been downtown at this hour with this dispersal, with this unlawful assembly. You heard from some people who told our reporter that they took public transit, much easier way to get out of the downtown area. With all of those people, you can see where it can be congested with vehicles. I'm sure some might be innocently there, some might have been at the protest, some might have stayed a little too long, and now they're boxed in there.
And that curfew, of course, does not apply to folks who live in downtown Los Angeles, folks who are working in downtown Los Angeles, members of the media, or anyone who has legitimate business in downtown Los Angeles. So those folks may simply be trying to get home before the curfew goes into effect. Not a lot of hope is being placed that the 8 p.m. curfew will actually cause folks to leave the area, because keep in mind, at 4:30, a dispersal dispersal order was issued, and folks, not everyone left the area. So not a lot of faith is being placed in that 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, which has worked for the most part in keeping downtown Los Angeles safer than before the curfew was issued.
Well, we do know there were no Kings protests all across Southern California, from El Segundo to Linwood to Beverly Hills to West Hollywood. We have not been able to cover all of them, but on social media you have people posting about them. Obviously the biggest would have been here downtown at Grant Park.
We got some video earlier from Oxnard, Ventura County. They had hundreds of protesters take to the street, and reports are so far very peaceful. About 100 protesters are still out in Oxnard.
This is crazy, y'all.
Let's go to Mario Ramirez and his crew on the ground. Mario.
Hi, Gigi. You're seeing these LAPD officers, maybe about 2 dozen.
y'all.
I'm getting into these black and whites here. They're running through this parking lot towards Spring Street, which is on the other side. We're on Broadway, and we've been watching as the remaining crowd here has been pushed from 2nd Street, now closer to 3rd Street. And we can tell you that we were passing...
They're pushing back the protesters, guys.
Just a short while ago, we noticed LAPD officers were blocking the metro station at Broadway and 2nd Street. So it appears that anyone who is thinking about even using public transportation to come downtown or is planning to leave downtown using public transit, they may be blocking those entrances and exits, likely because of the curfew. Now, as for what you see here on Broadway from 2nd to 3rd, this is not a one-way street. So fortunately, some of these cars are able to turn around and head in the other direction. And Elliot Mendoza was showing you some of the people in the buildings here that are watching from up above. Earlier, we saw one of the officers here pointing one of the...
Whoa, at the window, guys, at people in their home.
One of the windows, because it appeared maybe something came down, maybe an object was thrown, and it looks like they're still keeping an eye on that area as there are 2 people from a window up above looking down. So something may have come down at one point, but that also something that they're looking out for as they're passing some of these residential buildings here downtown. Now, what we've seen is a lot of the people in that crowd that we showed you just 10 minutes ago have now dispersed. A lot of them moving off the sidewalk where you see those cars that are now stuck, very slowly being redirected, turned around, but there's another crowd at 4th Street. So it looks like they're not going to get out of here anytime soon. We do hear LAPD officers making some commands. It's not exactly clear where they're telling people to go, but they're stationed here, and we continue to watch. There you go, another, that looked like fireworks.
This has been named the unruly.
Like fireworks going off here.
It has been called unruly, guys.
We did have reports, Mario, from the LAPD that people were using commercial fireworks.
Dispersal order now in effect, y'all. They are firing tear gas, rubber bullets, everything.
Yeah, and you continue to hear those.
This has been labeled an unlawful assembly
here, and what police are doing is keeping a lot of the media and some of the crowd behind this skirmish line. They don't want anyone to be right in front where, you know, between the protesters and police officers. But
what's up, Libra?
Yeah, we just heard those fireworks from the next intersection as people are still gathering and waving flags.
To me, that's a very tense situation where you have, I'll call them members of the public there in their vehicles, caught in between a skirmish line there and officers moving forward there using those less than lethal weapons. I'm sure it's a challenge for law enforcement to get those cars moving and turned around and in an opposite direction. But with that police line moving, obviously they felt there was some kind of concern with the people that are protesting ahead of them, that they started using those less than lethal weapons there. Interesting times to see those cars there kind of, I'll say, caught up in the middle or boxed in, just because the nature of moving a bunch of cars in one direction, having them circle around and get them out of the area. It might take a minute.
And you see those green that appeared guns marked in green, and they're clearly marked in green to indicate less lethal. They're often used for beanbag rounds. And that is when you see that officer pointing that green gun up.
Extremely big mess, Belinda.
It is less lethal force.
Continue to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up.
Those first officers reported having bottles and bricks thrown at them. There you can see in the distance those LAPD officers there on the right side of your screen. We saw them just moments ago firing. Unclear if they were firing to the crowd, towards the crowd, or at what, but that indicates less lethal force, and they're clearly marked in green, so there's no mistake made.
Let's go to Justin O'Brien in Skyfox, where we get an aerial shot here where we see some of the backup there with that traffic. Justin, from your...
Yeah, Christine, the LAPD is actually having some success here. They are pushing them south, and that traffic is slowly moving and making its way down south. This is where those fire hydrants were opened up a short time ago. It appears that the group here is heeding the advice and making their way south. I think buildings are going to come into way.
30 minutes until they start enforcing the curfew, guys.
Metro station, or they have vehicles, or what they're doing. But they're certainly getting out of that area where Mario is. That crowd or the line of vehicles appears more to be that they're stopping for the traffic lights than it is that they're trying not to get away.
Hold on.
LAPD seem to have a success here, pushing these vehicles south. Unclear where all these people are going to go once they get towards the 110 and the 10 freeway. Christina and Gigi?
Yeah, well, that is a great perspective to let us know that cars are moving, and you see the bottleneck there at the top of your screen there, where there's having to be more of a merging of
people are all in their houses, guys,
but good to
watching
see
this as it goes on.
Obviously, you said they're waiting for the lights to turn. Do you see police at all to the south of our screen, to the south of our picture? Obviously, the skirmish line LAPD is operating to the north there.
That's where they were pointing the tear gas gun there a while ago.
To the south, they're actually trying to encourage everyone to go south. So I think they're trying not to impede them in any way. They are starting to 11th Street. Anyone knows that's kind of Olympic area, so that would be Broadway and Olympic. It appears that they actually are trying to make their way east there, or they are actually heading east on 11th. So this crowd has stopped going south, and they're making their way east now. Now, I'm unsure whether that's there's ringleaders there. We've got a guy there showing off with his vehicles. So, as we said before, you know, this is becoming a bit of a sideshow, a street takeover. So these weren't the people that came out to do the King's Day protest today. These are people that came out to cause a bit of havoc.
Well, let us remind people who do stuff like this that the department, LAPD, has let people know that you have cameras
Thank you, Miss Poober.
Things that are being posted. Wouldn't be hard to track down that car if you needed to or wanted to, I'm thinking. As we watch the scene here and the crowd on foot and the cars trying to get through and be pushed down to the south as well, we're going to talk with former LAPD officer Dennis Zine, former LA City Councilman and Reserve Officer. Dennis, as you look at the aerial shot here, thank you for joining us. I know where this building is. It's by the old Herald building where Arizona State University
This is crazy.
Building now, the proper hotel. What do you make
Yeah,
of
most
the
definitely just go home, man.
away from downtown?
But it doesn't appear that they're going anywhere.
This is not what you would consider an orderly group of people who are demonstrating about something they believe in or don't believe in. These are agitators that want to cause problems, disruption. The man who we just saw spinning out in the street, that's reflective of the attitude that some of these people are carrying out now. So what happens is the people who are there for what they believe to be a legitimate cause, they have the right to do that legally, lawfully, and then now as we get to the curfew hour, we start to see...
They're about to get ready to enforce curfew, guys.
To cause trouble. Their concern is only to cause trouble and to then have confrontation with the police. So we see how this is going to escalate as we get to the curfew hour, where then they will call for the unlawful assembly, and they're breaking the curfew law, and the buses will come in, and hopefully they'll start arresting these people who are simply there to agitate, not to have any cause except agitation and create problems for the community.
This is crazy, guys. This is Los Angeles.
Large peaceful protest at Grand Park today. Tens of thousands of people, as we knew that there would be no King's rallies and protests across Southern California planned way ahead of the ICE operations and Homeland Security operations in the Los Angeles area. Does it surprise you at all that things turned and that LAPD had to declare this dispersal order, that they were taking objects thrown at them? Did it surprise you at all that the nature of the protest changed?
It does not surprise me because we see this happening
There
continuously.
are a whole lot of
People
law
who are there
enforcement
for
out here,
the
guys.
legitimate purpose of a legitimate protest on a cause that they believe, and they want to show their disdain and their concern, and it was peaceful in many areas, including the San Francisco
Police
Valley,
are firing
which I was at the
rubber
location
bullets
on
as well
Canyon
as
in
tear
Curfew, where
gas,
they had a
guys.
large group, but they were protesting in a lawful manner. What we see happening now as we get closer to the curfew time downtown, we have these people who are coming in there simply to cause trouble, cause problems, and to agitate and have confrontations with the police. I hope many of them get arrested, because what they're serving is a disservice to the people who are there for legitimate concern that they have, that they want to voice their objection, and they have the right to do that under the laws of our land. But
They're getting closer and closer to the protesters, guys.
So we should accommodate them by bringing in the crews and arresting them and taking them down, booking them, let them go through the criminal justice system, because we have a DA who's very aggressive, and we have a U.S. attorney
More law enforcement
who's very aggressive in prosecuting these people. But these are simple people who don't have a cause other than create problems. That's exactly what they're doing, and we need to respond to that appropriately with the uniformed forces that are there. We got sufficient uniformed forces. We're on a full mobilization within the Los Angeles Police Department, and we have the resources to handle it. So they will handle it appropriately. But this happens when we come to the hour of darkness as we're approaching that curfew time, which I'm glad the mayor did the curfew, because we need to clear this area out, and this is the easy way to get this done.
But Dennis, Gigi Graciette here, thank you for joining us on Fox 11. Dennis, if they didn't disperse when they got the dispersal order, do we really have any faith that they're going to leave when the 8 p.m. hour reaches and the curfew goes into effect?
Well, then they'll be arrested. Then they'll simply
What's
be
up,
arrested.
AJ?
Now they're breaking the curfew, so they'll be arrested for the violation. So maybe they want to make it.
They're going the opposite direction.
35 minutes, 30 minutes left, and before that time, or 25
They're
minutes.
getting ready to enforce
so
curfew, guys.
The hour of 8 o'clock, and we're just past 7:30. So we'll see what happens with it. But then the command will be, let's move in and let's start arresting these people, because they're simply there to agitate. They're not there for anything other than to create problems. And we saw the person doing donuts in the middle of the intersection. They're there to create this problem. And clearly, we have sufficient resources. There's officers.
I knew that later on it would be chaos, and it most definitely is, guys. There has been a report of at least one sheriff's deputy that has been injured in all of this.
So there's plenty of personnel there. But they bring in the buses, and that's what I said initially when they
This
started.
is Los
To
Angeles.
arrest these people, get them out of there, let them go through the criminal justice system, and then we can bring this matter to conclusion, and hopefully we can go back to normalcy next week.
And Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman, as you mentioned, Dennis, has made it abundantly clear that he plans to prosecute anyone arrested, whether it be simply violating the curfew, failing to disperse, or some more serious charges. And Dennis, I don't know if you heard, but LA County Sheriff's Department has confirmed that at least one deputy has already been injured.
Well, I know that some LAPD officers have been injured also. Fortunately, not critical injury, but they have been injured. Now, these officers aren't used to this type of activity. I joined in 1968, so I've been through a lot of situations and turmoil within the city. And many of these officers, the first time they've encountered something like this. But with our department shrinking, as we see shrinking with 8,800 officers, those officers are going to look at this and say, do I really want to continue with this? This is not unusual. This is a very unusual occurrence. We don't see this happening very often in Los Angeles. And I hope those officers will understand this is a unusual situation. But again, since my time when I joined LAPD in 1968, I've been through many of these situations, and you get numb to it after a period of time, but you understand this is what we need to do to maintain law and order in the civilized society that we have here in the United States of America. So they will encounter this. Many of these officers, again, the first time they've encountered something like this. Normally you tell someone to comply, they comply of this situation. But again, remember, this
most definitely people watching from home, guys.
It was a wonderful, could have been a festival. And then what it turned out to now is as darkness sets in, the professional
just go in the house,
man. Simply there to create problems and to agitate and to stir the pot. That's exactly what they do. And some of them want to be arrested. So I'm sure we'll accommodate that and incarcerate them.
We got one guy that's been arrested.
You dated yourself. Gigi and I were talking about the many scenes of unrest that we've covered over our decades here in Los Angeles news. So you're right, for those of us that have been there and done that, this is not new. We've seen this before. But you're right, there are a lot of young officers.
Wow,
This might be
guys.
their very first civil unrest, their first grand.
There you see the tear gas canisters on the ground.
Watching the progress of the LAPD in moving that crowd down to the south. For a while there were no officers in sight in our aerial shot there from Justin and Skyfox. And now you see officers there with that skirmish line on foot, moving those cars along. They're backed up by those cars, by the LAPD vehicles there, just really pushing that line of cars along. Dennis, I mean, you gotta maybe commend the officers the way they've moved this crowd out of the downtown, part of downtown where the protest was earlier today, as that
Absolutely, but they have tactical plans and they practice. And we've got Metro, we've got special operations within Los Angeles Department. But today
there are still thousands of people on the streets, guys, as they get ready to enforce this curfew.
Because of the mobilization, there's tactical alerts.
Dang, man, tear gas everywhere.
And it's exactly what we see. So many of these officers, maybe the first time they've experienced something like this, they'll see the effectiveness. These folks know what to do in their practice. They train this, and they know what to do. And we've got to remember, we've got the Olympics coming to town. We've got some major events coming to Los Angeles, and this department needs to be prepared. And the training program at the academy and the in-service program, they're well prepared for these types of situations with all the training and all the equipment that they have to do it. But it was been a very hot day today. I know when I was out in the valley in the uniform, it's very hot. So in addition to that, you're wearing the protective equipment and you're dealing with this. So many of these officers just can't wait till they take that uniform off and jump in a nice cool shower and rest, because after this time, 12 hours on this, by the time you get to work, etc., they're working 14, 15 hours. This is a nerve-wracking experience.
They continue to fire tear gas and rubber bullets, guys.
Central Division that officers are once again taking commercial-grade fireworks being launched at police officers. This happening.
They are firing fireworks as well.
Live at our shot. Skyfox above Broadway there, and you can see that skirmish line as they continue to push protesters. But we have seen all morning long reports of commercial fireworks being thrown at law enforcement. Dennis, somebody who goes to a protest and says that they're there peacefully but has a commercial-grade firework in their pocket, that sort of dispels the notion that they're there for a peaceful event.
Well, you obviously know when they're going with that to come to an event for such as this, you know they want to cause trouble. You know they want to cause trouble. They want to cause problems. And we'll be very accommodating in taking them to jail and letting our district attorney, who's very aggressive, to prosecute them. And if they harm someone, they could face some very serious charges. If those firecrackers, the weapons they use, whatever against the police, they could be charged with some very serious felonies. So they're risking some time in prison if it escalates to that. But simply, all you have to do is leave.
What's up, not on my watch? What's up, Solag?
It's simple. They don't want to do that. They want to sit there and have a
This is Los Angeles, guys. They are firing fireworks, throwing objects, and they have hurt at least one sheriff's deputy already. They are getting ready to enforce the curfew, guys. That's what law enforcement is doing right now.
And they'll spend some time in jail, or they'll go to court and stand by and get your attorney and get the money ready to defend yourself. Because remember, we video all these activities along with what you're doing. The police department has taking video of this situation. So we're well prepared for the prosecution. We wish we didn't have to do that. We wish they would just leave. They've shown their support. They've shown what they believe is appropriate. Fine. Now go home. But no, they don't want to do that, so the consequences are going to be severe, very severe.
You know, I'm wondering, when you detain somebody...
What's up, Jennifer?
Let's say they're let's say they're breaking curfew.
Anita?
How does that work? Are they held...
What's up, Chris? LA is on go, guys. LA, Los Angeles is on go.
They are detained for a portion of time to disrupt their life and several hours at least of their life. How does that work?
Well, they're going to run through if they got any warrants. That'll be an additional charge. Post bail depends on the circumstances. If there's any unusual circumstances involved, or just fail to leave the area with the curfew, and it could escalate to very serious charges. They could have felony warrants.
Man, it sounds like a war zone out there, guys.
We'll check on these folks, and they'll go through the criminal justice system to check them through the computers that they have available, they'll do the full check. So they'll sit in jail for a while, and if they get cited to court, or they spend time in jail, they may have warrants for their arrest, and that warrant's going to hold them in jail. So they may spend Sunday, Father's Day in jail, and some days next week. But it just depends. But they'll all be checked. If they go for the arrest, they'll be fully checked before, as they get booked, they'll be checked. And if there's any outstanding charges, those will go on top. It just tags more on top. So they'll spend more time than the person who gets cited in court.
Well, I see some activity there. More officers moving into that. It looked like perhaps one of those less lethal weapons was fired there by an officer. I'm looking at that sign of the Grayson Bar as well as we pull out there and show that wide shot of our beautiful.
We got more law enforcement coming to assist the law enforcement that's already here.
Unable to have regular customers there on a Saturday night. That Grayson Bar is one of the bars downtown. We know it's really been built up over time. And Dennis, as you look at this wider shot here, and we think of this greater 1 square mile and how much the downtown area has been built up for people that are just listening who don't live here. Compared to years ago, downtown wasn't an area where you went to a restaurant or a bar. You avoided downtown, but now it's a thriving area for nightlife, and that's not happening.
Exactly. In nightlife, a lot of activities there. We got a Dodger game taking place at the stadium, which is very close to downtown. People oftentimes want to go to downtown and have something to eat either before or after the game.
Yes, this is Los Angeles, guys.
But this is a downtown that's very vibrant. A lot of activity in addition to the stores that were looted over the last few days. A lot of restaurants. A lot of people like to go there. But with this situation, it's going to harm those businesses. When the curfew takes place,
people watching from businesses.
So those employees are not going to get paid for that. Then the store is going to suffer the consequences, whatever kind of store it is.
Continue to get those likes up, guys. Click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new.
They're impacted by this. So this causes a lot of inconvenience to a lot of people who've done nothing wrong. They live in that area because of whatever reason. They're close to work. They like the downtown area, the environment. But this disrupts many, many people. And that's the sad part, is there's disruption to good, legitimate, law-abiding citizens. It's not necessary. As we see the officers that are in their skirmish line, they're getting ready to confront, and they'll be moving. We know we got a lot of traffic going at this particular time, but once that magic hour approaches, which is pretty quick, they're going to lock that area down, and people who haven't left are all going to get taken on those buses.
And Dennis, I was live in Little Tokyo yesterday, and we talked about the businesses closing. They were closed as of yesterday, closed and boarded up. We're talking about banks, small businesses, restaurants, mom and pop shops.
This is live, guys. This is happening right now.
The Japanese American Museum there, and we watched, and I spoke to several tourists that were visiting Los Angeles from Japan precisely. They had come to Little Tokyo, and they were taking pictures of the boarded up businesses and
what's up, Lala's World?
That were posted to any possible people wanting to create civil unrest or hurt their businesses. The messages basically said, please respect, we're immigrants too. One message was, our grandparents were in the Japanese internment camps. And so please don't hurt our business. It's because of our grandparents and the sacrifice of immigrants that we're here today. And it was just heartbreaking.
This is crazy, y'all.
This is the message. This is what they see, and this is what they'll take back to their country. And Los Angeles is very dependent on the income from tourists.
Exactly, and well, those tourists are going to think, do I really want to go down? When you see all the graffiti that's spread throughout the area, and we see the media coverage that's now been international media coverage, people are going to say, I don't know, I don't think I want to go to Los Angeles, because they don't think about the 1 square mile area that the mayor keeps talking about where the curfew takes place. They think of Los Angeles.
Shout out to Lala for being a member for the last 5 months. She said, wow, I'm watching this live. This is most definitely live coverage, guys.
Down there in the clubs and the restaurants and the activities that people want to go after the Dodger game. I mean, many people want to go to some of the restaurants and relax. That's going to be shut down. So there's a lot of inconvenience, and a lot of people are going to suffer financially. Those storekeepers are going to suffer financially, and those places that have been broken into, where they've been looted, that's another problem they have to deal with. So as you see, we've got a massive show of law enforcement. This is just one part of the city, the downtown. We've got the valley, we've got the south, we've got the west. We've got officers scattered throughout this city of Los Angeles. So clearly enough resources, but the fact is the impact is going to be lasting for a lot longer. When this comes to an end, this impact is going to continue for days and months to come.
They're preparing to lock down the streets, guys.
Operations continuing. This doesn't end Sunday or Monday when it comes.
We're 7 likes away from 100, guys. Click those 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up.
Planned way in advance and not tied to that at all. They were tied to the Trump administration and other things happening in Washington, D.C. But with the ICE operations continuing, Dennis, I mean, do the protests continue day in, day out, week in, week out? This could be a longer process for us.
Well, absolutely, but I've heard that they're going to be modifying some of those ICE activities. That I've heard that they've come to the realization that a lot of these people, there's other ways to handle it than to go into the way they're doing it at car washes, etc. And I think you're going to see a modification of the deployment when it comes to next week's activities with ICE agents.
We heard that a modification when it comes to hotels, restaurants, and farm workers. Are you hearing something beyond that?
Well, that's what I've heard originally, but I think what happens is, coming from the political background, that's the beginning. I think you're going to see that enhanced into some other areas, because there's a lot of people in Los Angeles, the DACA people, and we have police officers that are Los Angeles police officers that come from immigrant families. Many of them come from immigrant families, and they're members of the Los Angeles Police Department. So I think they're going to make a modification. I think that the national level, they're going to...
Now go to guy in the Santa suit.
When you see these kind of protests around the country, that's a very strong message that somebody's got to hear. So they came out with the initial, and every time they come out with the initial response, you're going to find that response enhancing other areas. And I believe we'll come back to a reasonableness. No one's opposed to the law being enforced. Do it on a fair, impartial manner, and don't go picking on certain people just because they're easy to take, whatever kind of profession they're in. And a lot of people are struggling. I mean,
heavy police presence, guys.
Los Angeles, just the cost of gasoline, it's ridiculous. And people have to struggle to make ends meet. So many of these people in California, we do have in the state of California a policy, and there's a written policy in law. We do not enforce immigration, period. That's been a long-standing policy in the state of California. So when you have something like this take place, all of a sudden it's like an earthquake. It's a major shatter.
This will not end well, guys.
Become accustomed to. So I think you're going to find our national leaders to come to a realization that this is not going to work. We can't continue with this type of situation, this type of conflict, and people are having these consequences that have to deal with every day. We can't continue working these officers 12 hours a day indefinitely. We can't continue to depend on the higher patrol to abandon the freeways and come in and help out. We need to come in with reasonableness, and the laws need to be reasonable. I saw what happened with my former colleague, Alex Padilla. I saw what happened with him. We were colleagues on the city council for many years, a personal friend, to see what happened with him. The situation starts to become extreme, and I think we're facing that extreme level right now.
Dennis Zine, thank you so much.
The sheriff's deputy has been hurt, guys.
Get you back on as we continue our coverage here. I'd like to talk to you more about what we're seeing on the ground there as a former LAPD officer, a LAPD reserve officer, Los Angeles City Councilman Dennis Zine and his expertise. Thank you, Dennis. We want to go to the San Fernando Valley, and Dennis Zine mentioned that he was at a protest in the San Fernando Valley where we have a group of peaceful protesters, but I can tell you there is concern over at least a dozen cars that have either started or there's concern they're going to start a street takeover. There you
They're getting ready to do a street takeover, guys.
This is where the protest ended. This is Van Nuys Boulevard and Victory Boulevard in Van Nuys. And you see a small group of protesters there, but there is concern that we may start seeing people try to do a street takeover with those donuts that we just saw a short while ago in downtown Los Angeles. Now, earlier this morning, a protest
this is Los Angeles
around the city, and folks peacefully marched to the federal building on Van Nuys Boulevard. There were no incidents really to report of, and now you see small pockets of protesters on the different corners, but no civil unrest, no civil disobedience. We're hearing that things have remained peaceful, but police are keeping their eye very closely out on a group of about a dozen cars or so because they fear there could be some type of street takeover. That is Sky Fox over the Van Nuys area, Victory and Van Nuys Boulevard. Now we also have Sky Fox We have 2 Skyfoxes tonight, and one is over Pico and Flower area. Let's take a look at what's happening
This is
there.
very
And
much out
about
of control right now, guys. There's a lot going on. Continue to double tap that screen. Get the likes up.
At one time, we were getting word of at least 3 two protests, people peacefully marching up and down the street, and then the incident happening in downtown Los Angeles. Now, I believe we're looking at Pico and Flower there. A lot of traffic, the train going by. And earlier, Justin, Mario Ramirez was talking about the Metro line. Yesterday, at the Little Tokyo station, there were posters all over and at the bus stops, and they basically said safety on them. They were blue, and they'd been put up, and it said, for your safety, Metro will not be operating in this area tomorrow. And then it gave various alternate routes, alternate buses or trains that people could take in the Little Tokyo, downtown Los Angeles area. So there you see a Metro train going by. I believe you're looking at Pico and Flower. Now, we understand that
look at the protesters run, guys.
Is being briefed on the situation of what is happening. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department did confirm that 1 deputy was injured. There was a report of a horse also being injured. We understand the horse is okay, and we're working to get an update on the severity of the injuries, if they are indeed severe, that Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy suffered.
We have at least 1 sheriff's deputy already injured, guys.
To see what is happening. I'd like to go back to the shot of Mario Ramirez, if that's available, back on the ground. Mario Ramirez and his photographer have been in the thick of all of this as those less lethal rounds were being fired. You see police there with those green
What's up,
rifles.
Hammer? What's up, Tootsie Roll?
Basically,
what's up,
shooting off foam projectiles.
Y'all continue to click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, guys.
Those projectiles can go as close as 10 feet away and as far away as 110 feet. Mario? And Mario, we don't have audio right now. We know that here we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. If you can, if you can hear me,
now,
we
Mario.
at one point thought these officers here were going to start shooting at the balcony here of the Perla.
People are throwing stuff from their homes, guys.
At the corner of the intersection. We've been watching this group that has been moved from 1st to 4th here on Broadway, and it looks like the majority of the group, the hundreds that we had just a short time ago, have now dispersed. But LAPD officers moved the remaining media on this side of the street because people were at one point throwing objects from that condo building onto the street, and there was concern that somebody could get injured. So you all have mentioned that the businesses here along these streets in downtown, a lot of them we've seen that are boarded up, but I do want to give you a look at this one business here, Sardines Wine Bar, and you can see there are people here inside on the 2nd floor. The bar is still operating, it appears, and there are customers inside. Many of them,
wow, guys,
just shocked at what they're seeing here as they've been watching this crowd being moved. A concerted effort from the LAPD moving these people from block to block to block. We were at Grand Park not too long ago where a large crowd had been forced from in front of City Hall, and we heard those flashbangs, those less lethal munitions being deployed. We did see a block over at 3rd Street and Broadway, fireworks that were being thrown at LAPD officers. We haven't seen that activity since then, but that is definitely something that these officers are.
This is live in LA, guys. It's police.
Residential buildings here.
Prepare to enforce curfew.
Where we saw those objects being thrown from the top of the building.
There are people throwing bottles from the tops of the roofs, guys.
2 minutes here as we're watching and waiting to see once that curfew hits exactly what's going to happen with these remaining people out here on the streets of downtown LA.
I couldn't help but notice you've made your way all the way to 4th. You started with
What's up, Flip Mode?
on 1st, so obviously some progress there.
Yeah, and it has been working. Every couple of minutes, they will be moving the crowd. They stopped here because of those objects that were reportedly coming down from up above. But yes, slowly but surely, they've been using less lethal munitions and moving these people from block to block. We started in front of City Hall near Main and First, and they made their way up into Grant Park and then onto Broadway and then down.
Can we get 200 on that like button, guys? Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click the three dots, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, guys. We need 50 more likes.
Sardines Wine Bar. Not been to that one, but I know it's a vibrant downtown LA area now with these restaurants and these condo complexes and apartment buildings. With the curfew in place, I'm surprised that business is still open, or right now are they staying open because of all the police activity and nobody's moving there, do you think?
You know what? Are you guys staying open?
Gala says there were Craigslist ads in big cities looking for professional agitators. These guys, they come out at night and burn stuff. 6,500 a week. We most definitely seen a report on that as well. That's crazy, man.
Went into this business, but this is why so many of them decided to close their doors. We saw a lot of them with the fencing, making sure that they were boarded up if they had glass storefronts. And throughout the last couple of days, as we've been working through some of these areas, many of these businesses writing on the storefront, on the boarded up storefront, Mexican owned, similar to what we saw during the George Floyd unrest, many trying to avoid the vandalism and looting by appeasing to those crowds here in downtown LA.
I don't know if that manager is willing to talk with you any further. I sense he might have been just a little hesitant, but was just answering your question. But I'm wondering what it means for them to have.
They say, where's the freedom?
With no business due to a curfew and a Friday night and a Thursday night last week.
You know what, the manager here, we're talking to a customer. You've been watching here. Oh, okay, you're the owner.
This is the owner of the cafe, where the people are inside the building and on the second floor.
Yeah, I think it's, earlier in the day it was a great turnout and it was a wonderful protest, and I think now you just got a lot of rabble-rousing going on, and it's a little tense. It's a little tense. We want to be here for our community, but also...
Somebody thinks it's about to be martial law. It is most definitely wild in California, guys. Keep those likes going. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots.
What's the impact been like for you? These demonstrations started a week ago, over a week ago on Friday.
Yeah, it's not friendly for business. You know, we have to close 4 or 5 hours early, and my concern is more the impact on business after this all goes away. Once this goes away, the perception from the greater Los Angeles area.
What's up, little mama
Diddy?
Diddy?
It's a war zone, and it's scary, and that it's unmanageable, and they don't come back for months, sometimes years. Last time we had protests like this, the perception of downtown was that things weren't great here, and we need people to know that people live here, humanity exists here, and we run our businesses and we live and work and do all that stuff here, and we need people to come back to downtown.
Now, this is Sardines Wine Bar. How long have you all been in business here?
We've been here for 3 years, and we've had the cheese shop next door for 11 years now.
As we are seeing some of this activity out here, your reaction moving forward? What's the plan moving forward? I mean, tomorrow are you opening? Are you opening up?
We'll continue to open up. Yeah. We'll just the police have been doing a good job of kind of diffusing the situation a little bit. I'm sure they add a little heat to the fire as well, but we're gonna be here and we're gonna keep open our business just like we have for the past 11 years in downtown, and serving these people.
What's your message to the city as this is happening? The curfew now in place. We might see some arrests here. The fire department moving in.
Yeah, I think we're pretty resilient, but patience and peace, acceptance, tolerance, those are things that we we need to look for. And, there's a lot of people hurting internally. And that internal hurt manifests itself in ways that is sometimes a little destructive. And we get it. But, I think it's just keep on doing what you're doing and let people know how you're feeling.
Mario.
Perspective. Thanks for sharing it with
Mario.
us. What's your name? Reed. All right. Manager of Sardines Wine Bar here.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you
I'm
ask?
listening here as we're continuing to watch that activity.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you to ask him about the vibrancy of downtown. I came to LA in 1990, and truthfully, downtown was not an area of vibrancy of hotels and restaurants. It's really changed nature and demographic, and that bar looks beautiful there inside. Looks wonderful. Ask him about what he loves about downtown.
Yeah, Christine Devine asking about the vibrancy and the culture here. What do you love about this area of downtown? What drew you here to open up your business?
Oh, I mean, it's a very diverse demographic. We got people of all ages and all over the country and the world, and all makes and models here in downtown. And there's a sturdiness and a hardiness to the people of downtown, and that's the beauty of it. Is I think we have that resilience and I don't know. City folk love the diversity and the vibrancy, and that's what we love about it down here.
What are your customers saying? Someone from here reporting, obviously, maybe in shock here. Are they from out of town? Are they local?
No, they're all locals. We have a very loyal local customer base, and they've been supporting us all week long. A lot of these people have been here every night, and we're looking out for each other and leaning on each other when there's tension like this. And
so Mario, he lives there as well.
It's just been great to see them kind of band together.
And do you live here in the area as well?
I live a block and a half down.
What's that been like? I mean, obviously, you're going to be going home after this.
Yeah, it's, earlier in the week it was a little loud at night, but it calms down tonight. You can see I think it's going to go on a little longer, and it's going to be a little more tense, and the authorities do their work. Maybe we can thin it out a little bit.
Any communication between the businesses? Many have been boarded up, closing. What about the businesses saying?
Oh yeah, we are all about encouraging each other and helping each other out. If anybody needs anything, we're all there for each other. We all take care of each other and look out for the storefronts, and if we're open and it gets a little hairy on the inside, people are around that come and check in on you. So.
We appreciate it. I know you're open, so stay safe. Thanks so much for talking to us. Reed, the owner here of the Sardines Wine Bar downtown at the corner of Broadway and 4th Street. Now, the skirmish line continuing to move down that way towards 5th, and we're seeing some stragglers here, people still holding signs as that curfew is in place. We haven't seen any of those arrests being made, people taken into custody for breaking that curfew in a 1 square mile area here downtown. But we do see that law enforcement continues to move. Thank you, sir. All right, so we'll keep an eye on things. But
Mario, we'll come right back to you. Let's go to the second camera while that gentleman takes his thoughts elsewhere. Let's go to that second camera that we have there. That, I believe, is 2nd Street happening right now. And you see, obviously, a large deployment there of police with their 40 millimeter and less lethal launchers there, those green rifles. You see, as I was mentioning earlier, they basically launch a foam projectile, rubber bullets as they're commonly
Continue to
called.
keep those lights moving, guys. Click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up.
And you see them, and they're clearly marked in green, so people know that those are less lethal projectiles. And you are looking live. It is 8:07. LAPD putting out the curfew.
It is 8:07.
Exactly.
The curfew goes into effect at 8:30
to 6 a.m. for that 1 mile square area in downtown Los Angeles. And right now, this is where everything is happening. There are smaller protests, including one in Van Nuys in the San Fernando Valley. There's 100 protesters out on the streets of Oxnard right now in Ventura County, we are hearing. Those protests remain peaceful. The disturbance has been primarily in a very small area surrounding City Hall near LAPD headquarters in downtown Los Angeles. It was about 4:30 when LAPD officers reported that people from an overpass were throwing bottles, bricks at them, and that's when a dispersal order was issued. A lot of people did leave. A lot of protesters simply started marching into different areas.
This is not going to end well, guys.
The peaceful part of the No Kings protest today in downtown Los Angeles. Unfortunately,
a sheriff's deputy has been hurt, guys.
Business owner put it. A lot of rabble rousers, agitators, started causing some trouble, unfortunately, facing off with police. We have heard that one Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy, who's also on the scene there in downtown, was injured. We're trying to get an update on his injuries. We're also trying to get an update from the city of Los Angeles. We understand that LA City Mayor Karen Bass will be joining us live here on Fox 11 as we continue our coverage on the No Kings protest. It was peaceful all day long as Reed, that business.
It is not peaceful anymore.
We had Fox 11's Mary on the street, and she was actually recording a video, Christine, and she was saying into the camera, things are so peaceful. You know, she'd been there for hours. She had been chatting with immigrants from all over the world.
Thomas says he lives in the downtown LA. Well, you better stay in the house, Thomas.
It's peaceful no longer, and it's very unfortunate. This is what LA, the city, the mayor, the governor, everyone was worried about, is that the message, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, the First Amendment guarantees the right, freedom of expression, the right to protest peacefully. And the First Amendment specifically says, you know, peaceably or peacefully in the First Amendment, but now the message has been hijacked into a story about the violence.
And yet we have another night of curfew now in place at 8 p.m. in the downtown LA area, 1 square mile. You can see a lot of LAPD officers are there on the ground, and we are watching the stragglers.
What's up, Positive Vibes?
Keep in mind that curfew is now in effect, and I would say LAPD
all right,
much more ready
we'll
for
holler
this
at you.
curfew as they were last night, sending a very strong message last night with the arrest, with that white LAPD bus, with people being detained.
Nighttime is fast approaching, guys.
We are looking at a location here.
Uh-oh.
Cameras at a couple of locations there.
People have been throwing bricks and bottles from overpasses and building rooftops, guys. The LAPD sheriff's office, a sheriff's deputy has been injured in all of this.
Happening around the country. We have been in several locations. Downtown, a big area.
That's right, and No Kings protests across the country. There were 2,000 scheduled protests throughout the United States, coast to coast. Here in Los Angeles County, at least 40 were programmed, but they ranged and they were held up and down the state. San Diego police putting out a message on X earlier today, thanking the community of San Diego.
Continue to hit that like button, guys. If you're on a mobile device, double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps the channel.
Changed at 4:30 this afternoon. Again, if you're just joining us here at Fox 11, we are continuing our coverage of the No Kings protest. We already had cameras.
This is live in LA, guys.
A story at 10 o'clock of a peaceful demonstration and interviewing folks with the message they were trying to convey today on the streets of Los Angeles. We had cameras all over because there were protests all over. Van Nuys, Santa Monica, Pasadena, Ventura County, Santa Barbara, Riverside, San Bernardino saw protests all over. But at 4:30, things changed, and that's when we started to hear officer needs help calls. Officers saying they were coming under attack by a group of protesters on an overpass near Alameda. And that is when that dispersal order was issued. Not everybody left. A lot of people did. There were reported up to 20,000 people on the streets of downtown Los Angeles earlier. So relatively, this is a much smaller crowd that is causing these issues.
All right, little Jimmy, go home. Let's get little Jimmy up out of here talking about he a kid. Let's deport little Jimmy.
We also saw that in Santa Ana during the week. Fireworks being lobbed towards law enforcement officials. There, of course, Orange County Sheriff's Department and the Santa Ana Police Department. But a lot of folks came out with fireworks, and we're being told they are the commercial grade. Pepper balls were launched, trying to get the crowd to disperse. Those foam projectiles.
What's up, Kimmy?
Commonly as rubber bullets were
Look, Jimmy, go in the house. You just got deported.
We do have one confirmed.
Go in the house and play with your Tonka truck.
Deputy that has been injured. You are looking live. And let's bring in now Hunter Dunn is one of the coordinators of the No Kings protest. Hunter, good evening. Where are you joining us from?
Hi, I just got home from the protest in downtown Los Angeles.
And I know you've been following the coverage. I can imagine this must be very disappointing and disheartening.
Which coverage specifically? We had millions of people turn out today, but obviously in downtown Los Angeles, after tear gas and rubber bullets were fired, as I watched it happen in some cases, fired at peaceful protesters, some literally chanting just the words peaceful protest as tear gas and rubber bullets were shot at them, including one of our organizers who was handing out medical supplies. I was a little bit disheartened to see that level of state violence against civilians. Absolutely. And I'm even more disheartened by what happened in Salt Lake City earlier today. It appears
continue to get those lights up, guys.
And at least one person was critically injured. We don't know the motive yet. We don't know exactly who did it. But we do know that one of our protests, one of our events was attacked. And at least one person is severely injured. So I am absolutely disheartened by the show of violence against a peaceful protest movement that has happened today, both in Los Angeles and also in Salt Lake City.
Hunter, it's Christine Devine here joining this coverage. I wanted to ask you about the state with the LA event first for a moment. I'm sensing some emotion on your part when it comes to how things turn from peaceful in Grand Park to a change of a dispersal order. Obviously, we don't have cameras everywhere. You have a certain perspective from what you saw. What did you see and how things changed and when?
Yeah, so downtown Los Angeles, our protest was from about 9:30 a.m. and we finished up about 12:30. After that, we announced that we were finishing the event.
People are still in the streets.
A call to action about other areas and ways
they are approaching the
city.
They are approaching the police, guys.
You ensure with summer of resistance at Placido Olvera, or other actions that could be taken. Some from the comfort of your own home, and some, going out and finding other protests in places like in WeHo, West Hollywood, where
they advanced forward, and the police they retreated.
So there was those actions that were taken, obviously, and once we were done, we were then going around checking in on events and other protests happening across the city. Some of which were No Kings, but not the No Kings that I was involved with organizing. Most of which were just general anti-ICE protests, which makes sense as ICE has been victimizing the community of Los Angeles over the past week. And, well, going back a lot further than the past week, but it's been especially obvious in the last week. A couple hours later, yeah,
go ahead,
a couple hours later, there was a pretty quick shift in tone, at least from interactions between protesters and law enforcement.
Now, Hunter, LAPD central officers reported it was about just right before 4:30. We were monitoring their transmissions, and we had cameras and reporters also on the ground. They reported, the officers did, taking bottles and bricks and rocks being thrown at them by a group, and I don't like calling them protesters. The LAPD calls them agitators. They also call them outside agitators, implying they were not part of the peaceful protest. They reported taking bottles and bricks and rocks from these agitators. That caused them to issue the dispersal order, and things deteriorated from there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've read those reports. I've also read reports and seen footage by Associated Press and NBC, both directly contradicting those reports, claiming that they were entirely unprovoked. Now, obviously, I'm part of a nonviolent movement. We have entirely peaceful protests. If there were any sort of violence by outside agitators, that's not something that we support. But The violence that I saw, the violence that Associated Press saw, and the violence that NBC saw were exclusively against civilians by law enforcement. And let me be very specific here. I have spoken to someone who was shot 3 times in the face with rubber bullets. Rubber bullets are meant to be, according to police protocol, shot off the ground and ricocheted and then potentially hitting someone, but more scaring them than anything else. Shooting them directly at someone is a violation of how those are supposed to be used, and that is directly violent in a way that cannot be defended. And that is my fundamental issue there. Frankly, just taking the worst possible situation, someone throwing a water bottle at you versus someone firing rubber bullets at high impact velocity speeds directly at your face, which could cause terminal brain injuries or even kill you, those things are not at all
We got some
equivalent,
things
and I
going
think it's a disservice
on
to the people
in
of
Las
Los Angeles
Vegas,
to defend
guys.
it that way. But of course, obviously, I heard you guys were talking about fireworks and stuff, and I understand in that case, we obviously want to be careful when people are playing with literal fire after what happened in California over these past couple months. I was in college when those fires broke out in December. Palisades, Altadena, there's so many different fires all at once. Right, my final season actually got canceled because we had to flee our university at one point.
Hunter, obviously it is a contentious situation.
Yeah, see with our crews and see. Pretty
This
much
is Las
playing out
Vegas,
here at
guys.
Clark in Las Vegas, as far as the protesters, some have started going down in the general direction of the stratosphere.
It is
There's
also
a lone
going
person
down in Las
camping
Vegas.
over across
This
the
is a
way.
live look from Vegas, guys. As police battle protesters worldwide, guys, this is Las Vegas.
I feel like it's a relatively small group that's kind of going that way, but
We'll go back to Los Angeles in a second.
mainly done.
Across this country, guys, there are riots and protesters and police
All right, guys,
everywhere.
as you can see, it is
This is
extremely
Las
quiet
Vegas
in
right here.
now. Over 7,000 people earlier, according to some reports, packed in between Clark and Bridger on Las Vegas Boulevard. But so far, it has been extremely peaceful. The order, the
This is
protest
live in
order
Las
ended
Vegas.
at 7 p.m. At that point, Metro Police moved into place. And we haven't seen anything out here like we saw the other night so far. No tear gas. Just police making sure protesters stayed out of the street. So that's what we saw at that point. It looks like officers are regrouping their plans too.
I think we should walk that way and at least see, and then we can report if people are heading that way or if they are stopped, because they may be stopped.
We're gonna walk one more block up, guys. I think that's a good call. And then see what we see up here.
All right, let's go back to Vegas. Let's go back to LA, guys. We're going back to LA. They ain't got nothing going over here. Let's go back to LA.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'll keep an eye on all of them. Y'all know how we do over here, man.
Less lethal munitions. They are doing that because they are being attacked. Something else, for anybody who's out there, if an unlawful assembly is declared,
This
that
is Los
means you need
Angeles
to leave
again,
the area
guys.
immediately. What you're seeing on video are individuals who are not only not leaving, they're actually moving towards the police officers with masks on. I don't think in police work we call that a clue, right? You got people running at you with masks, with rocks in their hand. Those are not peaceful protesters. Those are individuals that are creating chaos, and they're hurting people, and it's unacceptable. We have made several arrests. Arrests will continue. And again, I want to emphasize, they're not arresting protesters and demonstrators. They're arresting individuals committing crimes against deputy sheriffs and police officers.
This is Los Angeles, guys.
We saw as your men came and formed a line. We've seen the horses. We've seen them ready to go in. Do you have any idea who the agitators are, who these people are, who want to do this sort of thing?
You know, unfortunately, we see this the last several nights. Between LAPD, the CHP, and us, and even other police departments in the region, the majority of the protests and demonstrations has gone great. It's until these individuals get involved. Some of them have been arrested. We're continuously working with other agencies to make sure that we're identifying them, because honestly, what is their purpose?
All right,
and that's
so
what we've got to
this is
ask.
Sheriff
And
Robert
I've
Luna
been talking to
of the Los Angeles
individuals
Sheriff's
that are
Department
in
that y'all
charge
here
of the
talking.
protest, and having good communications and saying, hey, don't allow these people to ruin it for everybody else. So we have to continue to work together, and I appreciate our media and our partners out there capturing a lot of what's going on, because when you see these individuals out there, for example, holding umbrellas, there's only one purpose for that umbrella. And that's when the confrontations are happening, when law enforcement
and
is
there
trying
most
to
definitely
repel
is a guy out there with a huge
the
green
rounds, the less
umbrella,
lethal
guys.
rounds
Check
coming
it
at them,
out.
or the gas.
That's what he's
because
talking
people
about.
behind them are the ones throwing objects, and I say objects, they're a rock, the size of the rock and bricks that they're throwing, and the other devices can seriously injure or maybe even kill somebody. So this is serious business, it's criminal activity, and it's not going to be tolerated. But please, I want to reemphasize, this is the peaceful protesters and demonstrators. None of this was going on earlier today. As a matter of fact, we had a lot of law enforcement out there engaging with a lot of the protesters in the most positive way.
And that's something that we've been seeing
guys.
in different cities across Southern California and across the country, Sheriff Luna, as we continue to watch some of these images of, you know, as you guys have talked about, these protests tend to devolve to this smaller group of people who cause this type of violence. We've seen looting, unfortunately, and businesses broken into and tagging and other types of violence. You have that curfew that will take effect at 8 o'clock tonight. How will that help you and other law enforcement there on the ground in trying to get these people out of this area as quickly as possible?
Yeah, the curfew has been very effective. That's something that the mayor and Chief McDonald and the city of LA implemented, and that is only implemented within a certain geographical area, and it happens to be
if you're on a mobile device, double tap your screen or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, guys.
Has occurred that you're reporting about. That has helped, to be honest with you, because I've been involved in implementing curfews. That's not something we take lightly. We'd like to remove it as soon as possible because it impacts our normal community. It impacts our business community. We want to get life back to normal. The protests, we can deal with that all day long, and demonstrations, as long as they're peaceful. But you've seen it, people graffitiing, breaking windows, looting. That has nothing to do with the legitimate protests that I believe the majority of people are engaged in.
How has the coordination been between the different agencies? We've seen CHP out there, we've seen mounted units, we've seen LAPD and the Sheriff's Department.
The coordination, in my opinion, has probably never been better. Jim McDonald and I have a fantastic relationship. So do the members of our department. We're officially in what we call a unified command. That means command decisions are being made at the same location between the California Highway Patrol, LAPD, and the Sheriff's Department. And I think you saw a press conference yesterday where we were talking about our preparation for today. And although it's the three of us there, for me as the Sheriff of LA County, I'm in constant communication with other agencies in LA County, the other 44 law enforcement agencies in LA County. I am in constant communication with the sheriffs that are all around me, from Orange County, Ventura, San Bernardino, Riverside, and even as far as San Diego. So we are prepared to
Justin, it is most definitely live. Get Justin up out of here. Since you are unsure, go find somewhere else. You'll see the same thing. Let's get Justin gone.
Violent protests may break out, and then ready to assist any other agency around us. A lot of good work being done. I'm very proud of law enforcement here in Los Angeles County.
And to your point, Sheriff Luna, you mentioned, that a lot of the times these, what you call agitators, are taking away from the larger message of these mostly peaceful demonstrations. Before we let you go, just quickly, your message to these people who hang out night in, night out, that, that this won't be tolerated.
If you gotta ask, let's get Michael up out of here, guys.
You're ruining the positive message that a lot of our protesters and demonstrators are trying to pass on.
To place.
They're trying to pass on to the federal government that this is wrong. That's the opinion that we're getting over and over. And I respect and acknowledge the fear and anxiety that's going on out there. But these individuals that are out there committing acts of violence, really just criminal acts, are ruining the message. In my opinion, it's falling right into the message of the other side of this. And I'll leave it at that.
And that was Sheriff Luna. Right now, we want to switch to our Conan Nolan. He gave some good insight and analysis on the day and President Trump's military parade.
Oh, we don't want to see that.
Conan is always a person who's covered so many important stories. He's always got great stories for us.
Let's get back to where we was at.
Closed. I don't know if do we have the mayor on the line already?
We do. Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much for joining us. Christine Devine here with Gigi Graciette on a Saturday night. As you're watching live what's happening in downtown LA right now, the curfew on for about 30 minutes, where does the city stand tonight?
Well, I think the city stands enforcing the curfew. Overall, today was peaceful, considering how many...
This is Mayor Karen Bass on what's going on right now. She's watching it live. They said live on a Saturday night, which today is Saturday, and it's Saturday night. To all of the people out there talking about, is it live? Is it live? It's most definitely live.
Without a lot of arrests for unlawful assembly or curfew violations. Over the last couple of days, that's where we have been. The number of arrests have dropped considerably. But of course, this protest was one that was planned for months. That really was not about ICE. It was more about the military parade and the overreach.
Let's get indigent up out of here. You ask yourself, dog.
Expanded the view.
You just got deported.
For the protest, but I'm sure it also contributed to thousands more people being in the streets that would have been.
Now, Mayor, obviously the city, the LAPD, was prepared for the worst, but you specifically asked for peace, and you specifically asked that people not be violent because it would just feed into the rhetoric that's coming, that people, this perception that they have. President Trump said if it wasn't for him and if it wasn't for the National Guard, we would all be burning down right now. And you asked them not to be violent, not to feed into the rhetoric. This has to be disheartening.
Well, no, I mean, look, the way, especially if you view how the president characterized the city, you know good and well, especially when it comes to the downtown area, that this is a small slice of Los Angeles that is 500 square miles. So, of course, I'm always disappointed in any act of violence, but things are not in chaos, and the National Guard is not participating in the way that the president has described. He's acting as though the National Guard saved the day. I think, first of all, LAPD, the sheriffs, and the surrounding police departments were there, handled things. They are continuing to handle things, and the federalized National Guard is not needed.
Where do we go from here? So that the national protests, as you mentioned, were well planned in advance, happened today. We know Homeland Security is still doing operations, ICE still doing operations, National Guard is still here. We saw some walking by one of our shots. This is not over for the city of LA, for the greater LA area.
No, it's not over, and frankly, I don't think it will be over until it's clear when the federal government will stop the raids. One of the things that has been most challenging about what is going on is that we've been operating by rumor.
Let's go, Paul.
There's all these
they say they like that beat. Let's go.
All these sightings of the National Guard, and because we don't exactly know, because there hasn't been the communication.
Let me clean my camera lens real quick. Hold up.
Insecurity and uncertainty. But I will tell you that today, I was in the helicopter for quite a while. I went to every site that had been listed as a site of protest, and I mentioned there were 15 of those locations, and every single one of them was completely peaceful. In some cases, the protest had ended by the time I flew over. And as I was flying over, LA, the downtown LA, was getting a little, we were concerned about where that was going. And that's when the police had the horses and moved the crowd back. But it seems as though it is under control now. It's early. It's only 8:30. So we have a lot more to go tonight. But
she said it's only 8:30. That let you know this is live.
And that we will not have a lot of arrests. We only had 19 yesterday.
And Mayor, what is your message? You mentioned that you know, and we know because we live here, that this is contained to an extremely small area in downtown Los Angeles. But people who don't live here, that feed into the national rhetoric that they're hearing, don't necessarily know that. What is your message tonight?
Well, my message to them is to clarify what exactly is happening in LA, and I appreciate your network for joining in, because you talk about something that's discouraging. It's when networks essentially
this is Mayor Karen Bass, guys, on the current situation
show tapes
in
over
LA.
and over again of stuff that had happened days before. So my message to LA has been consistent. It's to be peaceful. It's if you actually care about immigrants, you are not going to be violent. And if you are violent, then we know that you're just being violent. It is not on behalf of any cause. And we will deal with you. You will be held accountable. But if you look at the tens of thousands of people that were downtown in LA today in that protest, it was overwhelmingly peaceful. And I just hope the stragglers that have not gone home will remain peaceful, will leave the area, or will understand that they will be arrested and they will be held accountable.
All right, Mayor Karen Bass, I know we have limited time with you, so we'll say thank you for coming on with us here on a Saturday night as Fox 11 continues to monitor Southern California.
Not on a Saturday night.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. We know that it's been limited to a small area.
This is the lawmaker in Minnesota that was unalive today, guys.
In Minnesota,
her and her husband
was killed today. We know, Gigi, our day started out in a very tragic way as we learned of a lawmaker and her husband who were killed. Another lawmaker and his wife were shot beforehand. A manhunt has been underway for this gunman who was dressed in a police uniform with a police vehicle, and they are looking for that man.
That manhunt continues in Minnesota. The suspect has been identified as Vance Bolter. He is accused of shooting and killing State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, and also shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. They were both shot. They survived. They were out of surgery, but still in critical condition. Police say that the killer had a hit list with him with nearly 70 names of other Democrat politicians.
We understand that
peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.
So we understand that Minnesota State Senator John Hortman and his wife, they were also shot.
Wow, guys.
This happening at the homes of these lawmakers. Well, they're out of surgery. They're expected to survive. Again, we talked about that suspect, Vance Bolter. He was reportedly seen on a home surveillance camera posing as a police officer. We should note the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for his capture.
And in other news, a rainy day and a relatively sparse crowd greeted President Trump's
I don't want to watch all this. Let's get back to LA, guys. Let's get back to LA.
In decades,
Hold on.
held to mark the Army's 250th birthday, which coincided with Trump's.
I don't want to see that. Let's get back to LA. Live look at LA, guys. This is live downtown LA. Prayers for the families of the two officials that were unalived in Minnesota, man. This is crazy. People are still in the streets, guys, even though this has been called the unlawful assembly and curfew is about to take effect. You see that people are still in the streets of LA, guys, with no sign of backing down or going home. There are still thousands of people in the streets, guys. This is a live look in LA. I don't think this is gonna end well at all. All right, I found another feed as well. That's also currently in Los Angeles, man. This is crazy. Continue to get those likes up. The likes ain't moved in a minute, y'all. We 30 away. No, we're 20 away from 400 on that like. Anybody in the building that has not hit that like button, if you're on a mobile device, double tap your screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. It helps the channel. And please subscribe if you are new. As we cover what's going on right now in Los Angeles, California, guys, still a lot of protesters on the streets. And when I say a lot, I do mean a lot. Look at all of those people, guys. There are a lot of people out there. This is wild, man. 2025. This is the result. This is what happened after the peaceful protest earlier. All chaos broke loose, man. Yes, there is a curfew. The people are not supposed to be on the street, but there are most definitely people still in the streets everywhere. We just heard from Mayor Bass a second ago. She hopes everything remains peaceful. But at this point, I just don't know. There is still a lot of people on the streets of Los Angeles, even though it has been called the unlawful assembly, and curfew is has already taken effect, guys. They are still on the streets. This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. This is live coverage, guys, of LA. People still protesting in the masses. You know, this is crazy, hey, y'all. He say not that crazy. Yes, this is very crazy. One sheriff's office deputy has most definitely already been injured in all of this. And if people don't start going home, it could only get worse.
Broke out from the main crowd.
This is wild, guys. It is currently 8:42 in Los Angeles. Look at all of these people, guys. They have almost shut down this street, to be honest. I predict that law enforcement will be moving in at any second to try to clear this up.
Best face forward, and we did for most of the days.
There are a lot of people still out there. And if you're wondering why we're no sound, it's because the helicopter is making a strange noise. But yeah, man, there's still a lot of people on the streets, guys. This will not end well. Curfew has already taken effect, and people are still in the streets. This is West 4th Street, downtown LA. Yeah, he might, man, I wouldn't have been able to see Santa Claus if he was out there or not, Belinda. I guess Santa went home. He went back to the North Pole. He say, man, this is way too bad for him to be still out there. This is crazy, y'all. I'm looking around to see. All right, we got one with a law official that's speaking. Hold on, let's switch gears. Hold up. Hold on.
Crowd control techniques, and they were able to clear that area. And
it's 8:45 in Los Angeles, guys.
Now we have curfew, so that's a tool that is very helpful to us. Anybody out who doesn't have a reason to be in the area between now 8 o'clock and 6 in the morning is subject to arrest, and they will be arrested if they're here causing trouble.
And we did see some of that activity. We saw fireworks being thrown, commercial-grade fireworks at officers, rocks and bottles, even some thrown from apartment buildings up above onto the ground. What's the threshold for the dispersal orders and calling that, making that call to clear people out?
You know, when it's clear that things become of sufficient magnitude that people are going to get hurt in the environment, either people who are there or officers who are there, then out of
already, William, shout out to Texas. I'm also in Texas, my guy.
We declare an unlawful assembly, and again, we give people ample time to leave the area, make repeated dispersal orders, make sure everybody hears it, and then at that point, they're subject to arrest.
And what's your message to the city as the curfew is now in place? We know some people are still out here on the streets, very few for what we've seen compared to even a little hour or two ago, a short time ago.
Yeah, the crowd has decreased. I'd say we had, the last estimate I heard was between 1,000 and 2,000 people still out, but splintered all over the downtown area. No major groups like we saw earlier in the day, and I think the curfew will take care of many of those folks moving out of the area. And so my ask is, this is our city. This is the most beautiful city, I believe, maybe one of them in the world. And we're better than that, to allow this kind of thing to happen here, to not police each other with our behavior, where we come and damage the downtown area in such a way where the eyes of the world are on us.
The downtown LA curfew is now in place, guys.
In the next couple of years, let's step it up and do the right thing. We all have a responsibility to live in a great community.
And Chief, earlier we saw National Guard troops, a few dozen walking past the crowds here. We didn't see them engaging, taking anyone into custody, not even really on the lines, the skirmish lines with police. What's that protocol like? Who handles what with the National Guard?
No, great question, and I've heard a lot of different accounts from different people on TV, but the reality is they have a mission separate from ours. The National Guard and the Marines then embedded together, and their job is to protect federal employees, federal facilities, and federal functions, not to do what we do in the city of Los Angeles, which is to protect public safety in our communities. So two different missions, two different silos, if you will. We're not working with them on immigration enforcement in any way, and they're not working
Hold
with
up,
us
guys.
on
I gotta
crowd
get this
control in
charger
the city
together.
streets.
Now, again, as that curfew went into place at 8 o'clock, we're getting closer to the 9 o'clock hour. What's the plan moving into tonight? How many officers are out here on the streets, and what are we looking for?
Yeah, there's a lot of officers out here on the streets. I wouldn't give a number. That wouldn't be probably prudent, but our folks are out here deployed very heavily. We still have mutual aid resources with us, primarily the CHP and the LA County Sheriff's Department. We work very close together. We have a unified command where we have people from a whole variety of organizations, and they weigh in on whatever it is they can do to be helpful in taking care of business and making sure that the community is safe for everybody.
I know you're still collecting information. Any update on arrests that you've made so far today? I know there have been hundreds since these demonstrations started over a week ago.
Yeah, much less today, and I don't have a final count on it, but we've seen a couple of days there where we had in excess of 200 arrests a day, and that has gone down dramatically, I think, in large part due to the curfew. And so as we continue, our hope is not to have to make arrests, that people will comply and leave the area and make sure that things are safe. But for those who want to stay, want to cause trouble, we're going to find them and we're going to arrest them, and they will be held accountable. And for many of the people who think they've gotten away with a lot of the violence that's been done, there are cameras everywhere, and we will scour those to be able to find the people who hurt other people, assaulted officers in particular.
I know there's been at least one report of a sheriff's deputy being injured. Any of your officers injured?
Oh, yeah, we've had, I believe, the latest 10 officers injured to some degree. But I'll tell you, we've had people drive into them in the crowd. We've had people...
Continue to get those likes up, guys. If you're on a mobile device, double tap that screen or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you are new.
And, you know, they get treated medically and get back out in the field and get into the mix again. The spirit is great. You know, I have so much admiration for our folks, the restraint that they've shown out there since we've been out here, and just their willingness to be able to put themselves in harm's way to protect the community. Really impressed.
You have a long history in law enforcement, but you've been in this position. You're fairly new as the police chief here. How does that play into your approach here?
You know, I grew up in this organization. I spent 29 years here, my first trip, and then went to Long Beach PD for 5, was sheriff for 4, and you know, consulting and working at USC at a think tank on public safety issues. And to be able to be back in the environment that meant so much to me, was so much a part of who I am, I feel blessed and honored.
And lastly, your message to the demonstrators who feel that maybe they're being pushed off the streets unjustly. They want to be out here. They're calling for free speech and say, you know, they deserve to be out here. I know there's a curfew, but many of them feel that they're being pushed back before they should be.
Yeah. Curfew is not declared unless things are of sufficient seriousness that it's not to the benefit of the overall community to allow people to be out after 8 o'clock, hours of darkness. And so we look at that, we reevaluate that every day. Ultimately, the mayor will make the decision on that. But it's been a great tool for us to preserve businesses so they're not vandalized at night. And ultimately, I think it's been a tremendous help to us in getting to where we are this far.
Chief, we have Gigi Graciette and Christine Devine on the news desk right now. We definitely appreciate you joining us out here again on such a busy night, but we want to, if you guys have any questions back there on the desk for the chief here, we are standing by.
Mario, if you could please ask the chief, we had one of the organizers of the No Kings Los Angeles protest on just a short while ago, and he seemed to imply that it was the LAPD who escalated the violence. And we heard calls here at the station of officers taking frozen bottles, rocks, and bricks being thrown at them. Does he want to respond to that so we have some clarity?
Yeah, Gigi was saying earlier they had heard from one of the No Kings Day organizers here in downtown LA saying that it was the LAPD that initially agitated things with rubber bullets or tear gas. What's your response to that notion that the LAPD is is pushing back ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely not. We have so many
What's
people
up,
out
boss?
there making sure that things go right. The restraint that I've seen shown is remarkable, really, when I see what our officers are subjected to on and on and on throughout the day, now over a week period of time. And so, we look very closely at that. We make sure we hold our officers to a high level of accountability. And I'm very comfortable that that is not the case. And I think anybody watching TV for any length of time on this whole event as it played out, no, that's not the case.
I've got a question.
Thank you, Chief.
So if we can let the Chief know it's Christine Devine with Gigi, because we've all together have covered, as I've mentioned before, decades of news in Los Angeles and many a protest in Los Angeles going back to the 1992 riots with Rodney King's situation. My question for the Chief is, this is not going to end tonight because Homeland Security is still doing its operations.
Homeland Security.
What are his concerns moving forward?
Yeah, Christine Devine on the desk, recalling the 1992 riots, and with these immigration raids moving forward, demonstrators say they're not stopping here. Right. What are your concerns moving forward ahead with these demonstrations that are continuing to be planned here?
Well, number one, that they remain peaceful. We're here to support anybody's right to demonstrate, to protest, and to express their First Amendment rights. That's what we do. For those who cross the line and try and hurt others, try and vandalize the environment or cause havoc, we're going to be able to identify them and hold them accountable for that. And I'm fairly comfortable that now we'll start to see fewer and fewer people engaging in that activity and make it easier for us to be able to identify them and make arrests.
Question. So if people are capturing things on video, they're posting it on social media, that they feel the officer in that shot might have done something that was not in policy, how does the chief and the department address that if something is perceived as being not in policy?
Yeah, Christine's asking if someone does maybe videotape record any action between demonstrators and officers that might not follow protocol. Right. How is that handled? Maybe body-worn camera footage. Is there a point where that will be shared at all?
Oh, no, absolutely. There's so many cameras in the environment a police officer operates in. When they're in the vehicles, they have digital in-car camera video. They have body-worn camera on their body. And then you go anywhere, and there's cameras in the environment. And when there's an investigation to be done, we look for all of that video to be able to put the whole story together, either substantiate an allegation or refute it and be able to move on from there. And so the level of accountability for police officers today, I would say, is unlike any other profession. I don't know of anyone else who wears body cameras in the course and scope of their duty.
And one more question, if I may, if the chief will allow. People from around the nation, around the world are watching this. I think probably, Mario, you've had people text you and say, "Are you okay? How's it going?" What would the chief
30
say
likes from
about
500 guys? Click those three dots, hit that thumbs up.
Relatives who write and call me, "How are the riots?" What would the chief say about his view of what's happening? What would he say to the nation?
Continue to subscribe to the channel if you're new.
People from all over the country,
this is the situation in Los Angeles, guys.
Checking in on people who live here, wondering exactly what's going on. How would you describe what's playing out here?
It's very localized. I think the way it's portrayed in many media outlets is that LA is upside down. It's on fire. It's chaotic. It's, I would say, all of this activity that has been portrayed over the past week it is occurring within 1 square mile. The city's 500 square miles, and we're getting a handle on this and taking appropriate action. So I would say, come out and see. This is the most beautiful city in the world. We have so much to offer here, and what you're seeing is not descriptive of what LA truly is.
And while you have the chief there, before you're letting him go?
This is the chief for the LAPD, guys.
We know. Go ahead. We know President Trump has sent in the National Guard. There are Marines in town. The question for the chief is, what is his response at this hour on this night to the president who says that we need the National Guard here or LA would be burning?
Yeah, Trump has said that he sent the National Guard here for good reason. Otherwise, the city would be burning. Hundreds of Marines are now here as well. What's your message to the administration and President Trump as, he continues to tout his push of the military force here?
It wouldn't be to the president, but it would be to the public that the mission of the Army National Guard and the Marines that have joined them is very different than our mission. Their focus is to protect federal facilities, federal employees, and federal functions, and they're doing that, working with ICE and other agencies that have been deployed as well. Our mission is to protect the city of Los Angeles and keep communities safe, to be able to restore order in the case of this past week, and to be able to move forward in a more productive way.
And you continue to stand by, you and your officers have things under control.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, while you see incidents of what appear to be horrendous disorder, it is very localized, and we are moving in where we can to be able to arrest the people who are doing those acts. And again, the message to those who've done things here, we're coming for you. The investigation is not over. We will follow up and hold people accountable beyond what they believe will happen.
All right, I'm done.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mario.
And thank you, Chief, LAPD Chief Jim McDonald. Mario Ramirez joining us live from downtown Los Angeles. You are looking live at a much different scene. This is on Hill Street right now, and no protesters in sight. It has been a slightly chaotic afternoon after a day.
They better hurry up and get to Orange County.
Across the country, we're going to have much more
because the protesters have taken over the streets of Orange County, guys.
Yeah, we continue to watch what's been happening across Southern California. Obviously, a big day on the
Let's go to Orange County.
We'll bring you that full update on the news at 10 p.m. as we kind of pull everything together, sum up what started out as a volatile day with those lawmakers being shot and one killed, and the spouse also killed in Minnesota. So we will have a full day of news with Israel as well. It's a lot.
This is Orange County, guys, where I was showing y'all a while ago. They have most definitely taken over the streets.
Recap of the day's activities and all the latest.
See you later, Miss Tootsie. Prayers up. You know we always looking out for you. Shout out to you, Miss Tootsie. Hold on, it ain't live no more. Hold up. They took it down. Let's get well, the one in LA also stopped as well. Hold on. We gotta find a live feed. They have stopped the ones we were looking at. The news went off. Hold up. Let me find us a live feed. All right, we got one right here. It stopped too. Lord have mercy, they are all stopping. Hold on, let me get back over. I got maybe another one. Y'all know I stay with them going. Hold up. Let me see. Let's find another live feed. All right, here we go. Nope, this ain't live. Hold on, I gotta find us a live stream. This one ain't live either. Hold on, guys. I'm searching. The one they were showing in Orange County, it most definitely ended as well.
With a recap of the day's activities and
Hold up.
all the latest breaking news.
I only want credible sources, guys. You know they'll come in. Is this live? Is this live? All right, let's go to Las Vegas. They still live in Vegas. This is Las Vegas, guys. This is currently Las Vegas until they give us something in Los Angeles again. Everything else I'm seeing is like pre-records. I'm trying to make sure we have live feeds, guys, of what's currently going on right now. This This is Las Vegas. We are 6 likes away from 500. If you in the building and have not hit that like button, double tap that screen or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. Most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's amazing that they would go offline while everything, while the curfew is going and there's still people on the streets, guys. Could there possibly be something they don't want us to see? This is currently a live feed from Las Vegas right here. Most definitely still looking for more live feeds, guys. Everything else seems to be pre-records. We don't want that. Type it in. Guys, they have cut all the streams from Los Angeles for some reason. Let me know. Could it be something they don't want us to see, guys? This is Las Vegas. Everything from Los Angeles is now they are now pre-records. Nothing is live. I am looking high and low, searching high and low for things that are live in Los Angeles, guys. Because I feel like that's where the most unrest is going to be, is in Los Angeles. But they have cut all the live feeds from Los Angeles. And it is now pre-records. This is Las Vegas, though, guys. Las Vegas still has action. Why would they cut LA, y'all, and leave Vegas up? It's just mind blowing. Chris say they know it's going down. Yeah, that's what I said. They don't want us to see, guys. All the mainstream media sources have cut their live feeds from Los Angeles, guys. They are now showing from earlier. But this here is Las Vegas. This is live now. Vegas is the only live feed that I see at this time that is currently live about the protesters, guys. And I'm most definitely flipping channel to channel. But Vegas, like I said, Vegas is the only thing that's broadcasting live footage of what's going on. Everything else is pre-records. And unfortunately, Vegas has no sound. So therefore, it's just us watching what's going on. I'm still looking, guys. Yeah, let me see if I can get a different angle. Hold up. Hold on, I'm most definitely currently still trying to find live action, guys. Hold up. Nope. We are currently searching for live feeds, guys, of what's going on in Vegas or Los Angeles. They aren't showing us anything. This is Las Vegas. All right, I think I found one for I think I found a live in Los Angeles, guys. Hold on, let's get over here. Hold up. We got action. This is Los Angeles, guys. We got action. This is Los Angeles, guys. They're sitting down in front of law enforcement, guys. I don't know where they is. Life is lit. I don't know where the dogs are. But I know I had to search high and low for this feed, guys. This is live in Los Angeles. That guy got a mask on. Somebody put down, no, we need Joe Biden back. This is Los Angeles, guys. This is a live feed from Los Angeles. You know I can't check it right now. Let me see. I don't see it, Valerie. Okay. This is Los Angeles, guys. Valerie, you may have to resend it. Unless, is it about Manny and Vinny? That's the only one that I got from you. Let the people rock, guys. Let them rock. All right, Valerie, resend it. Mozzie, calm down on the high button. Let them rock, unless they're being disrespectful. Just time them out. This is the protest in LA, guys, right now. Y'all know the regular media stopped the feed, so we had to go somewhere else in order to get what's going on right now. Okay, I see it, Valerie. It is most definitely a lot of chaos and confusion going on in Los Angeles right now. All right, let me check. I got you, Valerie. All right, let's switch feeds, guys. Hold up. Hold on.